Hello everyone, my name is Michelle. I hope you're doing well. And this video is going to make me sound crazy. I'm probably going to lose the vast majority of my audience within the first 3 minutes because you just ain't going to understand it. I don't know what to tell you, except for I've got to say this now, right? Things have kind of come to a head in my own mind, but also on my Facebook group, link in description if you want to join. I've become more and more fractious and annoyed. Not just about the posts that are being made in my Facebook group, naming people and calling people a P when there's no evidence of it. That's one thing, there's legal implications for that. But in relation to Summer's case and what actually happened to Summer, all of that stuff is just a distraction, and it's getting on my nerves. I'm just gonna lay everything out in a way that I hope people will understand. I don't think I don't know, I'm just gonna sound crazy, but I'm just gonna talk, and I'm just gonna try to lay out what I think has gone on, and I'm going to, as always, leave you to make your own mind up. But I think there's enough people who've been discussing Summer's case to understand what I'm talking about. Now, there's wind noise. The wind's coming in that direction, which is bad for the direction I'm going in because my microphone is there. But the reason why I'm on this land today and not over in the safety of the woods over there, safety from the wind, is because I want this land as a backdrop. So, I'm going to lose you, but what I would implore you to do is stay with me, because everything I'm going to say is directly relevant, I believe, in my opinion, to what has happened to Summer. I'm not going to talk about the house and the minutiae of who might have done what truck might have been seen in a certain place at a certain time. All of that is just noise. The way I think people are going to truly understand what happened to Summer and have any hope of bringing her home is to understand the why and to understand the role of the Wells family in all of this. So try to bear with me. It's going to be long. It's going to seem at times that I'm rambling, like now. It's going to seem at times that it's just not relevant because perhaps you've been focused on one specific theory or one specific person, suspect in your head. I'm just asking you to listen, that's all. You don't have to believe me. I'm just asking you to listen with an open mind. So for those few of you who are still here, let me talk history. I'm going to give you a history lesson. And yes, I promise you this is very, very relevant. Right, I'm going to take you back between 1,000 years and maybe 500 years, right? Through the medieval period in Europe, where there was a system of governance, a system that was just how things were. And that's called the feudal system. So you have the king at the top, then you have the barons and the trusted people who the king was using as his support network, as his henchman, as his protector. They would have been kin. They would have had family ties. They might have been his cousins or his second cousins or cousins by marriage, etc., etc. And then you go further down the pecking order and you get to the knights who've been knighted and have been given land for good deeds, being valiant in battle. The way that the knighthood system works today is a complete sham, but back in medieval times it actually meant something. And then you get a little bit down the pecking order from that and you have the minor gentry. You have people who've got maybe loose connections with royalty, maybe loose connections with a certain side that's won a war or won a battle. and they're the lords of the manor, and they own, or they run, because the king owns everything really, but they own for the, you know, the purposes of today, a local area. And then under them you've got the people who work that land, who the lord of the manor allows to live on that land, right? And there's a lot of rough justice for people who get things wrong, who piss off people, who don't play by the rules. But however far down the tree you go, there's always family ties connected. Family ties are the thing that kept the feudal system going. Now I'm going to relate that to this land. So my ancestors, going back 500-600 years, were the lords of the manor of this land. Actually, my direct ancestors were lords of the manor of the land that's about 2 miles south. But their kind of cousins own this land. And I'd give you the name so that you could go and research it yourself, but I'm not going to, because it's too specific. It'll give my exact location away, and I don't want that. I understand the feudal system from my own family ties to this land, this very land that I walk on. Now, for whatever reason that's been lost to history, my ancestors lost this land. The feudal system kind of broke down anyway after the various bouts of the bubonic plague, the Black Death, that decimated Europe. And this feudal system is not just something that happened in England or Scotland or France, you know, it was throughout Europe, right? And all of the wars that happened in Europe, like the 100 Years' War between England and France, the War of the Roses in the 1400s, these were all family arguments. The War of the Roses it was the cousins' war. It was between cousins. It was about ultimately who should be king and who should control everything. Because land ownership was very, very important then, because it determined your wealth. Where do you think the term landed gentry comes from? Landed as in land ownership. And the more land you owned and the more farmers you were able to kind of bring in to work your land, and you took a cut of it, the richer you got. But it was all under a system, so you could lose that land in a heartbeat if you took the wrong side in a certain battle or a certain war. And as I said, I don't know how or why my ancestors lost this land, been lost to time, but it just gives you an example of how this land that I'm walking on right now has got a personal connection to me. I'm going to bring you up to modern times now, and then I'll tell you how all of this is relevant to the disappearance of summer. Now, the feudal system broke down for many reasons, partly practical, partly political. But do you think it might, in the main, this system of family ties down the generations from the king downwards has gone away? It's still there, but it's less relevant to the everyday population, right? There's 67, 68 million people that live in the UK today. We're only a small island, so we're quite densely packed. You wouldn't think so, but certainly in the cities they are. So the vast majority of people who live in those houses that I've just walked by know nothing about land ownership. All they care about is paying their mortgage or paying their rent, getting through the next day, making sure the kids have got dinner money and a clean school uniform, and getting to work on time. That's what the majority of people think about in the modern world these days. But the system of family ties being tied to land and being tied to economies that are not to do with the things that people think the world is run by. This is why I'm just gonna lose you, and I'm just gonna sound crazy. But do you think that person in that house there, or that person in that house there, or that person in that house there will look at this land and think, yeah, that meant something to people? The people living in this current time, in this current area? No. Because in this village, I mean, I say it's a village, but it's a big village now, a lot of new people have come in. We have modern economies that demand that people do a 9 to 5. They have to move where the work is. And a great deal of the family ties to the land has been lost. And I believe that's why so many of you cannot possibly begin to understand what has gone on here, in my opinion, and why summer's got gone, and why the Wells have behaved as they have. But I tell you again, this is going to get long. Stick with me if you've not just gone already. So, because I understand all of this, I understand the feudal system, I also understand the way that economies work, and the way that family ties work, and the way that people look after each other who have got that kinship. But also how cousins can start a war, or how one gang or group can start a war. Because that's what happened in medieval times, and it's still happening today in many parts of the world. And just regular people who do a 9 to 5, who care about their kids going to school, they don't understand, because that system, for them, for the vast majority of people, has been lost. But in certain areas where there's economic deprivation, areas where people, for the want of a better word, do their own thing, that the law is only loosely connected for them to their lives. Yeah, they broadly stick by the law. They'll, broadly stick to the speed limit. They'll broadly stick to, the system that's in place. But their economy and their understanding of the world is very different to that of the majority of people, where this system of kinship has been lost. But I understand it, because those ties in areas like this, where once the feudal system broke down and the big businesses came in this area, it was coal mining, because there's coal seams that run for miles and miles and miles. The town that's 5 miles in that direction, where my granddad's family come from, once the big businesses came in and the mines opened, then everybody just went into the towns. They lost the links with the land, and they went into the towns, and they worked for the man, right? The lords of the manor, the people who are my ancestors going back 500-600 years, who were the lords of the manor here, are on my grandmother's side, and it's just one line of my grandmother's side. The majority of the other people were peasants, right? So their stories, their kinship, you can't take it back for that many generations. But on this line, because there's links to the gentry, I can take my ancestors on this line back to the beginning of records. But my granddad's side, who grew up for many, many generations, well, actually for not that many generations, but anyway, we're all kin, and we're just working for the man. We're coal miners. And I think it's industry, it's the Industrial Revolution, I think, we're still seeing the impact of, and just why people just do not understand the old ways. But the family ties are still relevant, because if you crossed my granddad's family, you paid, because they had a big family. They were law-abiding, they worked hard, they brought the kids up the best they could, although they were living in poverty, no welfare state. If you got injured down the mine, that was it. You didn't have any money, you had to wait for a soup kitchen. My great-granddad, my granddad's dad, got injured working down the mine. They were in abject poverty. My great-grandma had to work this job and that job and that job to make ends meet. My granddad used to walk 4 miles to get bits of bread that the bakeries didn't want. Right? It was abject poverty. Poverty that very few people living in that town or this village understand. But there were ties. People looked out for each other. But it was very, very easy to create enemies. So, let's take us now away from here and let's go a few thousand miles to East Tennessee, to the home of Summer Wells. And people say to me, Michelle, why do you cover this case? Because you've no connection with it, you're living in a different country. Because I understand the system. I understand, and I've understood from the beginnings of the research that I did. I thought, hold on a minute, I know what's going on here. And I did research. Lots of research. And I've made videos about the family ties in the area. The connection that Donald Wells has in the area. Through marriage. Through his mother. Who was his mother, for God's sake? I'm hearing a lot of crazy conspiracy theories that Donald's mother wasn't really Donald's mother. Yes, she was. Yes, she was. And her third husband, William Gold, he's the guy that has the connections to the land on Beach Creek. And those relationships, those family ties, those connections, but also those conflicts are still relevant to the very, very relevant in a way that the majority of people cannot understand. Right, look at the names of the Hollers. They're all linked. They're all family owned, family controlled. And I want you to go and listen to a song, My House by New Breed. I'll leave a link to it in the description box. I can't play it because I'll get copyright struck. But listen to the lyrics. And it's relevant because the Wells have said that this was one of Summer's favourite songs. Was it though? It's not a song for kids. Maybe she liked the tune, I don't know. But would she have understood the words? Would she have understood the meaning? No. But Don and Candice certainly would. Yeah? Listen to the lyrics. How is this all relevant to Summer Wells? Well, I'm not going to tell you how this happened, how Summer got gone. I can give you theories on how it happened. I've given you theories on how it might have happened. The script, the alibis, who might have been involved, who might have actually done the deed, who might she have been sold to? Right, I can talk how until the cows come home. But ultimately, I can't tell you how. Only the people who were involved in this can tell you the how. What I'm trying to get across in this video is the why. It frustrates the hell out of me when people are trying to look at the minutiae. You're wasting time. You are just a distraction, quite frankly. You bore me, but I listen. I listen to everybody of all sides. Why do you think I do that? Because there's little bits of information that trickle down. I like to know everything, guys, right? But it does annoy me when people are wasting so much time now. It's 5 months. Is it the 15th today? I think it is. I don't know the days. 5 months to the day since summer got gone. And people are arguing about the blue van or the red truck. There might have been a blue van, there might have been a red truck. What the hell does it matter? The how doesn't matter. It's the why that is going to give us answers, in my opinion. And the more people understand what goes on in these economies, in this system, the better. You might learn something. Why do you think I've posted? Why do you think I've done so much research on Donald Wells' family tree? Because it's relevant. How is it relevant? Because he's got links with the land. How is that relevant? Well, because he's got kinship ties. But that doesn't necessarily mean for the good. Because like the War of the Roses, the Cousins' War between the barons and the cousins of the king back in the 1400s in this area, cousins fall out. Cousins hate each other. Cousins vie for control. Because who controls the land and the local economy is the one that has the most power, the most money, the most influence. This is all under the radar. This is not to do with the law. This is not to do with working for the man. This is all about the economies and the lives of the people who are living those lives that the majority of people cannot even begin to understand, because that system has been lost to time. That's how the history at the beginning of this video was very, very relevant. To try to put it in a way that you can go to a history book and you can understand. But it's a similar system. So let's now talk about trafficking. Let's now talk about drug cartels. So like the feudal system in the old times, in medieval times, it's a similar system. That you have a big group, right? You know, it could be the mafia. Not the cornbread mafia, for God's sake. I so wish Greg Hartley had not said those words, because he's created yet another distraction. But still, the system of the cornbread mafia is relevant, right? So you've got the big cartels. You've got the mafia from Sicily. Another fun fact, I'm half Sicilian. I don't know my Sicilian family. But do I have connections family-wise with the actual mafia? Probably, yeah. But it's a thing I've never explored because I can't speak Italian, right? So I'd love to know, but it's not in my sphere of knowledge at this current time. But right, you've got the mafia, you've got the triads. The triads are really big not in this area. Certain areas to the east, that way. The triads. You've got quite a few, right? But they've got overlords. You're going to think that I'm just a conspiracy nut. But bear with me, right? Who the overlords are doesn't matter. Does not matter, right? Ignore that. Does not matter. I'm just saying that, you know, the groups that control the drugs and control the economies in those places, in those areas, might have a name. They might be the mafia, they might be the triads, they might be the, I don't know, somebody else, right? The Mexican mafia, the Mexican cartels. And we know Don Wells has got links to Mexico because he was a drug runner. Was he a good drug runner? No. Because in his own words, he smoked away or snorted away all of the stuff that he was meant to be running. Did he? Did that go down well? No, probably not. Probably not. But we know Don Wells understands this system, right? Because in some way he's been involved in it. But is he a big cheese? No. Have the big cheeses stolen summer No, most probably not. Possible, because, you know, the chain goes up and up. But no, it's more likely to be a more localised thing. Because like the feudal system, underneath those big cartels, then you've got the smaller, more localised groups, gangs, if you will. And then you've also got the localised economies that really perhaps are not connected to those big groups. The ones who, you know, in East Tennessee, in the Appalachian Mountains, you know, have made moonshine. In more recent years, they make meth. Right? Not every single one of them has got connections with the Mexican flaming mafia. But I'm just saying there is this hierarchy, there's this system. But there are the freelancers, right, as well. And they may or may not ever get in trouble from the bigger cartels. If they're not directly influencing the economies of these bigger cartels, then they can just do what they want. It's their land. They can do what they want. But do they want people coming around their land sniffing out their... No, they don't, right? Very protective. So why? Why did Summer disappear? Why did she got gone? Well, I think that Donald has leaked some truth, but it's been lost because he's also leaked a load of BS. And people have focused on the wrong things, in my opinion. As I said, I'm not going to get into theories of how. What we need to understand is why. So, why did Summer got gone? Is it because Don or Candice? Is Candice the heart of this matter? Because when I started working on this, I centred around Don, because Don's the one with the family ties by marriage to the land. And I speculated, you know, has he pissed off the wrong people? Maybe that's true. But I'm now looking at Candice because she's just as likely to have pissed off the wrong people. Because, you know, she thinks she's hard. She behaves like a baby gangster. It's like some kids in this village. They behave like baby gangsters. But if they trod on the wrong toes, they'd regret it. They'd regret it. Why do you think I can sleep with my door wide open if I wanted to? And this isn't a brag, this is just fact. Why do you think I've gone out this morning? My back door's wide open. Do you think my 15-year-old Yorkshire Terrier is going to protect my property? Do you think my 14-year-old poodle who's blind, who's pretty much deaf now, can hardly walk more than up and down stairs and into the backyard, and he's got like about 3 teeth, do you think he's going to protect my property? No. Maybe Candice has behaved like a baby gangster and she's trod on the wrong toes. People talk about Ali and Hunter, and he's another baby gangster. People talk about Jose from New York. Well, does he have connections to another group? Has Candice pissed off the locals? That gets into the how. I don't care about the how. I'm caring about the why. Was there a score to settle? Was there a debt to be paid? Was there something else? But it's connected to the system, the law of the land in that area. And there's truth being leaked. Listen to the lyrics of My House by New Breed. Why do you think Candice freaked out? Oh, I'm going to have to talk about it. I wasn't going to even utter the words cornbread mafia, but it's kind of relevant. Why do you think Candice freaked out when Greg Hartley said the words cornbread mafia? No, not because Summer got gone by the cornbread mafia. Candice might have never even heard the words cornbread mafia. But what she does understand, what Don understands very, very well, because he talked about it in that interview. People focused on Candice's reaction. But actually, it was what Don was saying that leaked the truth, while Candice was freaking out. And everyone, including the behaviour panel, ignored it. Oh, man. Why do you think I'm so frustrated? Why do you think I'm talking like a crazy person? Because people need to wake up. How many subscribers have I lost? Talking like a crazy person. But listen and do your own research. No, don't. Don't, because people who've gone away and done their own research have come up with the most craziest theories going. Oh. How muddy it is. Oh. Ah. Was there a score to be settled? Was there? Was there a debt to be paid? They understand the system. Why do you think she freaked out? And no. Talked about this yesterday. I asked all the questions yesterday. Some people got me completely wrong yesterday and thought that I was supporting this idea that Candice freaked out because she got a phone call about a possible sighting of Summer. No. No. Oh, this is why I know that so many people who listen to this video will take it all the wrong way, because you don't listen, you don't understand, it's not in your sphere of knowledge. I get all that, but come on, you. I get all that, guys. I'm not even caring about the wind anymore. If you can't hear me, you can't hear me. It's getting it off my chest anyway. Might be less fractious when I get home. Come on. I normally edit like dead space, like tight places where I've just kind of thought something and it's just kind of silent. Come on, this way, or things like this, where they run off and act like idiots. Or the wind, the wind, I edit that sometimes if I can. But you know what, I might just put this out. Warts and all. I might do. Because you already think I'm a crazy person if you've got this far in the video. So, whatever. Right, so, where was I? Yeah. Because the story that Cracking Cases put out, or was given, right, I'm not saying they're lying, I think they're just being used, quite frankly. I like commonality, but I think they're being used. Was such a bad excuse, because it didn't happen in the way that they said, right? So what actually happened was Jenna called Candice, not the PIs, whatever was said about them. Jenna called Candice about a possible sighting. But it was after Dr. Phil. After. Not during the filming. So why did Candice freak out at the mention of the cornbread mafia? Is it because she understands the system? And Summer got gone because of that system. And Summer has been trafficked because of that system. Was she sold by Candice? Not going to get into the how. Was she rented by Candice? Not going to get into the how. Talked about all of that in previous videos. Go and look at them. Has she crossed the wrong people? Have Don and Candice both crossed the wrong people? And is Summer now part of the system, completely innocently a victim of that system? What do you think? What do you think, guys? I dread to think what the comments are going to be like. I dread to think. Bye from this one. Bye from that one. I'll see you later.